If you clicked on this video, I'm sure you know Nara for its sacred deer. And I have to admit, even I am a fan. Aren't they cute? But did you know that Nara was Japan's first capital and is home to some of the world's oldest wooden structures? Today, I'm taking you on a journey through Nara, exploring the city beyond its famous deer. We'll talk about its history, its temples, its tasty food, and I'll share all my tips to prepare your trip. Let's get into it. Let's start with a fun fact. Nara's original name was Heijōkyō, which literally means the city of peace. The city became Japan's first permanent capital in 710 when Empress Genmei moved her court here from Asuka. At the time, the China's Tang dynasty was so influential over Japan that it represented an ideal of society for the rising Japanese aristocracy. And when we arrived in Nara, we were struck by how much of that early Japanese period can still be seen today. A perfect example is Kasuga Taisha, the city's most celebrated shrine. One of my Japanese friends once told me that this shrine is like the Vatican for Shinto believers, and it is indeed deeply revered by many Japanese people. The shrine was established at the same time as Nara became the capital of Japan, which means that this wooden structure is over 1,000 years old. The shrine is especially famous for its lanterns, donated by worshippers over the centuries. They are only lit twice a year during the lantern festivals, one in February and one in August, so plan your trip accordingly if that's something you'd like to see. The woods surrounding Kasuga Taisha also feature 12 other shrines, each dedicated to one of the 12 lucky gods, so if time permits, make sure to check this out. Another major relic of the Nara period that still stands today is Todaiji Temple. Under the influence of China's Tang dynasty, Buddhism became the official religion of the imperial court, and it was in this context that Todaiji was built in 752. To this day, it remains one of Japan's most historically significant temples, as well as one of the world's oldest surviving wooden structures. Until recently, the temple's main hall held the record as the largest wooden building in the world. This massive structure houses one of Japan's largest bronze Buddha statues, standing 15 meters tall. Nearby, you'll find a wooden pillar with a hole at its base, said to be the same size as Buddha's nostril. According to the legend, anyone who can squeeze through it will be granted enlightenment in their next life. And if you're visiting with kids, this is a fun challenge to try. Now, it's hard to talk about Nara without mentioning Nara's deer park. Considered messengers of the gods, the city's thousands of deer have become a symbol of the city and are designated a natural treasure. Senbei, or Japanese deer crackers, are sold throughout the park, and some deer have learned to bow to visitors in hopes of getting a treat. Just make sure not to feed them anything other than these senbei. A lot of tourists give ice cream or sugary foods to the deer, which are really detrimental to their health. But as cute as the deer are, there is so much more to discover in Nara. Here's another fun fact. Nara's architecture was actually modeled on the city of Xi'an in China. The city was built in a grid format with a palace at its north end, just like its Chinese counterpart. You can still clearly see this today if you walk through Naramachi, Nara's former merchant districts. Naramachi is made up of traditional residential buildings and warehouses that have been transformed into boutiques, shops, cafes, and museums. We visited one of these museums where you step back in time into an ancient Japanese machiya. And here's the surprising part. Before Naramachi developed into a merchant district in the 15th century, the entire area was occupied by the grounds of Gangoji Temple. During the Nara period, Gangoji was one of the city's most important temples, although today only a few of its original buildings remain. Near Naramachi, you'll also find Yoshikien gardens. If you're looking for a typical Japanese garden away from the crowds, this is the place to be. Yoshikien consists of 3 distinct Japanese garden styles in one place: a pond garden, a moss garden, and a tea ceremony garden. When we visited, we were the only ones there, and I have to say, it's truly a hidden gem. Now, before we can talk about what foods to try in Nara, it's important to understand how the Nara period ended. Unlike earlier times when emperors moved their palaces often, Nara was planned to be a lasting capital. However, not everyone liked how much Nara's society structure was modeled on the Tangs. The Nara period only lasted 84 years, but in this short time, nobles and religious institutions accumulated vast tracts of private land, which created a wealth gap so wide that in its final years, the Nara period witnessed growing numbers of homelessness among the peasant class. This led to several coups and rebellions, which were so serious that not even the emperor could contain them. In 1794, the emperor took the decision to move the capital to Heian, modern-day Kyoto, to promote a new beginning for the country, which gave birth to the new Heian period. Over the next centuries, Nara gradually lost its political influence, but its cuisine gave rise to some of the most iconic foods you can still taste in Japan today. The most famous example is a dish I've already talked about in another episode, Nara sushi. This is one of the most primitive forms of sushi, with fish preserved in vinegar. You can still try Nara sushi in various shops around the city, and it's also sold inside Nara Station, where we tasted it ourselves. Nara sushi has a very strong smell and a flavor that's quite different from modern sushi, so it's definitely an acquired taste. If you'd like to learn more about the history of sushi, check out my video in the top right corner above. Nara is also famous for tsukemono, or Japanese pickle. You'll find several shops selling all kinds of pickled vegetables and even fruit. While pickles aren't really my thing, if you enjoy them, this is definitely something you should taste when you're in Nara. We also passed by Nara's most famous mochi shop called Nakata Nido. Made famous by social media, which explains the long queues, the shop's claim to fame is their dramatic mochi pounding process. They perform high-speed mochi pounding every day at the shop, producing hundreds of pieces of mochi, fresh and warm from the pounding. I've tried countless different types of mochi in my life, but let me tell you, this one was especially tasty. And that about wraps our tour of Nara. I hope that through this guide I have shared some interesting facts about Japan's first capital that will make you want to visit it beyond its famous deer. And now I want to turn the conversation over to you. What did you find most interesting about Nara? Is there a spot that I missed in this video that deserves to be explored? Let's exchange some tips together and keep the conversation going. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out my other videos on Japan, such as my video on how to explore Kyoto sustainably and my recent video where I show an authentic tea ceremony in a local's home in Kyoto. I will link to those videos in the top right corner above. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps support the channel. And if you'd like to see more upcoming content on Japan and videos like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified of any upcoming content. If you'd like to say thank you and buy me a coffee, I will leave a link to our PayPal account in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. And in the meantime, happy travels!